Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm your host, Nigel Wilkins, along with Craig Sayre. We got another jam-packed show for you guys today. We have in-studio guests in here as well. Jack Nighbert, the Brookwood head football coach, will be in the building, so we'll talk to him in our segment 2. We'll go over some girls lacrosse rankings in segment 4. We'll have Will Fields on in our last segment to talk about Georgia high school basketball players in the NCAA tournament and much more for today. But Craig, we're entering into the prime of obviously spring sports. We know about 8 games in for lacrosse season. We went over the baseball rankings yesterday. Just what's caught your eye, biggest kind of headline for you in the spring so far?
Well, for me, I think the big storyline is who's going to emerge the biggest winner in Class 6A. I thought this last year really belonged to Grayson, with them making it to the baseball finals, winning in basketball for the first time, boys and girls. This year, I'm waiting to see a team like Buford get back to the top in 6A. Going to see if a team like Walton in baseball can win. Can Etowah compete for the 6A title? I think Class 6A is very interesting right now, where we've seen some schools maybe dominate one season more than another. The fact that we haven't seen Buford stacking up championships this season, spring is pretty much now or never for them. I feel like they will have a strong finish. Yeah,
100% agree. I mean, I think it's going to be very fun to watch. Obviously, some very highly ranked teams. We've seen Etowah, we've obviously seen Walton and what they can do this year. They're sneaky, and then obviously 5A. Can Houston County get it done again?
Yeah, I really like Houston County. I still have them number 1, but it actually just reminded me. I did a blog, I think probably my first one in Class 6A. Once we got through the fall, that was like the first time in like 10 years, I think, Buford had won a state title in any of the fall sports. They went through, I think, the winner, they might have taken one, but that is an interesting storyline because people have been talking about it for years. With Buford's dominance, can they compete in the highest class? I mean, they're obviously right in there in every single sport, but one of them needs to break through. I really like the way the baseball team is playing right now, and I feel like you've mentioned in lacrosse, team that's won state titles last year.
Yeah.
I feel like they're still finding their footing.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I think the cool thing about just lacrosse real quick with Buford is what they've been able to do, right? You go and beat a really good team in Alatuna, who's been good for the past few years, 17-7, a really staple win for them, and they've just continued. Even though they're 6-4, I think they're equally as dangerous. And I think kind of front-loading your schedule makes you better towards the back half of your schedule.
Certainly, and they obviously are in that insanely difficult region or area just every single year.
100%.
But I still feel like they're going to make a strong run.
Yep, 100%. All right, guys, it's now time for our fast break headlines. We'll start off with the first one at the top. North Oconee quarterback Harrison Faulkner has committed to Georgia Southern. As you guys know, he won the first ever state championship in North Oconee Titans history this past year. He is now headed down south to play down there for the Eagles. I think it's a great pick for them and obviously a great destination for Harrison. We had him and his dad on back in December when they won the state championship, and I think it fits him well. I think he's going to be able to go down there and grow a lot and continue to just perfect his craft in his game. And, in the state championship, I just loved how he battled through adversity. Obviously, went through some things in that one, had an interception, but did not let that stop them from winning the state championship. He kept throwing big throws down the stretch and beat a really good Marist team.
Yeah, and Najee, would you say last year kind of a defining moment for him was against Eastside when he had that game-winning drive at the end?
Yes.
That 100%. Kept their
100%.
perfect season alive, really helped them ride that momentum. And then you see the state championship game where, offensively, North Oconee had a tough time. Marist will do that to you. I feel like him having the game-winning drives last season, also facing the adversity, leading them through a full 15-game season, I feel like that was, unbelievable experience. Then him staying in state, all the connections he has with his dad right there. I think it's going to be very exciting for him. And last year was just an incredible learning opportunity for him in terms of experience.
Yeah, 100% was. And I think they'll return a lot of their roster credit from last year. And you've been high on North Oconee for quite some time. So, how cool is it to see just a team that you said that could be the next Buford, just another really good baseball year this year, right? Basketball team is 2-time defending state champions, and then obviously the football team was their first ever title.
Yeah, and what's so rewarding about it is you can see it each year. They make the playoffs for the first time. The very next season, they make the second round for the first time. The very next season, they make the quarterfinals, get absolutely demolished by Cedartown. The next year, they make the semifinals for the first time. Had a heartbreaker, actually, last year. I think either to Stars Mill or Perry, one of the two, and then this year being able to go all the way. It was every single year with Coach Arndt just making one step further until they finally realized what it takes. So they've arrived. They've obviously dominated, but they have a very exciting quarterback, very athletic. He can scramble around, can make plays. When he played BT, I'm telling you, BT's pass rush is so capable, so talented. He was backpedaling on some plays 20 yards and still just like throwing it up, making something out of nothing. So he has that ability too. But obviously that can create turnovers and problems. But he's a very exciting player. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, he is. All right, guys, let's go to our next headline. Al Covey has parted ways with their head coach, Taylor Jackson, in the move. They basically said the decision was not mutual, according to Al Covey Athletic Director Patrick Carter, to release Jackson from his coaching duties. Prior to coming to Al Covey, Jackson spent 4 seasons coaching at Social Circle High School, where he led the Redskins to a 2022 state championship game before losing, obviously, there to Drew Charter. In just 2 seasons with the Tigers, Jackson finished with a record of 31-22. The Tigers went 17-9 in 2024-2025 and failed to make the postseason. In 23-2024, they finished with a 14-3 record and failed to reach the playoffs.
Yep, so the coaching carousel is beginning. Obviously, basketball season's over, so we'll start to see that heat up too. Football's carousel is coming to a close, I feel like, mostly with spring coming up, but that's very interesting.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It will start things up. They said it was not mutual. All right, headline number 3, Walton sweeps region doubleheader over Cherokee. And another thing to point out, last night they did open their series with Wheeler. They won 15-0. They'll play a doubleheader this weekend. But here's the Cherokee one. Cherokee beat Walton in that first game 4-3. Walton bounced back, got the 4-3 victory and the 6-3 victory. Cherokee's a very good team. They've been battle-tested playing the likes of Etowah year after year and being in that same region. Logan Weidman hit a walk-off single in game 1 and went 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs, a double, and 2 walks overall to lead Walton to the 4-3 and 6-3 victories in the doubleheader sweep of Cherokee in Region 5 6A play. In game 1, Alder Bowen went 2 for 3 with an RBI, and Walker Killamette went 2 for 4. Aaron Smith pitched 2 1/3 and allowed no runs to attain the win. In game 2, Dominic Rossi went 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs, and William Crow had a hit and an RBI, and then Caden Gilstrap pitched 4 2/3 innings and allowed 1 run to secure the win. What's so interesting about him, he's obviously playing football, so he's not playing baseball as much year-round. He's quarterbacking Walton, and then he was a starter on their basketball team, so they're really just getting him into the rotation. Walton's had a great offense this season. They're now 15-3 after that win last night, 9-1 in the region, and they have not lost a series yet, so they've been able to bounce back from each loss. They look very talented. They're still hanging on to that number 2 spot in the polls. All right, headline number 4, Marietta defeats North Cobb. This is also baseball in Region 5 play. Those scores were 3-2 and 9-8, very close. These will be significant results in who's going to make the playoffs out of this region. It was the same sort of deal last year with a complete logjam. Marietta is now 8-2 and 2-4, but now they have to host North Paulding in a 3-game series. Britton Hull hit a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 3rd to help lead Marietta to a doubleheader sweep against North Cobb. Sam Sparger had a hit and an RBI, 2 runs scored and 2 walks. James Lowe went 1 for 2 with an RBI and a walk. That was in the 9-8 victory. Ace Ramsey and Cameron Liebel went 2 for 3 in the Game 2 victory. Marietta getting a big 2-game win over North Cobb.
All right, our final headline, Allatoona sweeps Cedartown to continue their strong run in Class 4A. In that one, Sam Tobzak, he went 1 for 2, knocked in 2 RBIs, and drew a walk to help Allatoona win Game 1 of Region 7 4A doubleheader. Cruz Paul went 1 for 2 with a double and an RBI and scored 2 runs. Cooper Slayton went 1 for 3 with a double, and Cohen Bohannon picked up the win on the mound. In Game 2, Jack Reynolds doubled and had 2 RBIs to help Allatoona sweep the 3-game series in a Region 7 4A play. Ben Harrison doubled, and Cruz had a hit and an RBI in that one. Davis Bargeron pitched 7 innings, struck out 7 batters, and allowed 1 run to earn the win.
Yep, and they played Southeast Whitfield last night, I believe, 17-2 victory. And this is after Allatoona had the big win over Cartersville, who I thought could have been maybe number 1 or number 2 team in Class 4A. So Allatoona is playing very well. a sweep over Cedartown and taking 2 of 3 against Cartersville, they have a chance to win the region, which obviously be huge to have home field in the playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. It's nothing like going on the road for that second round matchup, and potentially having to win in a hostile environment.
And that's why Lowndes, sweeping Richmond Hill to open the region play and then taking 2 of 3 of Colquitt, that gives them a huge advantage also. And traveling all the way down to Lowndes in the playoffs is not ideal.
No, it's not. And our last note, just on baseball before we wrap up this segment, Craig, is there a team that's kind of caught your eye or has been kind of a sleeper surprise this year in baseball?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think East Coweta is sneaking up in Class 6A. They're 13-2. They're in that region with Carrollton. Carrollton's very talented. It's just who's performs the best in those 3-game series, who's got the depth of the bullpen. I think when you're 13-2, it shows you've got that depth. You don't just have one guy that's able to go out there and get the win. They're a very talented team that's climbing up the rankings pretty quickly. And
then the last thing, Craig, obviously you cover baseball here in the state, and you obviously know a lot about it. We know how important the depth of bullpen is, but what are the keys when it comes to the postseason and basically outlasting in that series? Is it your depth in your bullpen? Is it your batting? Is it being able to still runs? Like, what's kind of the key to success for a team?
I think that's part of it, and also just the confidence. If you get into a situation where you drop game 1, there's some teams that know that we have so much confidence in these next 2 guys. We're going to put them out there, and we're going to try to start this rotation over again in the next round. Where other teams, they might get desperate, start playing with their bullpen immediately when they don't have that depth. So I think some teams are able to go those 3 games. I think Grayson did it a lot last year in the playoffs.
Right.
And then they're able to kind of reset where some teams will have to mess with the rotation, just throws off the whole rhythm.
Got you. Guys, we're going to conclude this segment. Coming up after the break, we'll talk to Brookwood's new head coach, Nighbert. So don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial. Be right back here on the Peachtree Sports Network.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. Nigel Wilkins along with Craig Sager, and we have a special guest in the building, Brookwood's head coach, Nighbert. Excited to have you here, Coach.
I appreciate that. I appreciate being here.
Yes, sir, Coach. So I kind of want to just start. Obviously, you guys are, playing a big game, right? You're going to play against, obviously, Houston County,
yep.
In the Corky Kell. Just what's your thoughts on your first ever game? Your coaching is on the big stage at Mercedes-Benz and is televised.
Well, the good thing is it's not my first head coaching job because I did, I did some head coaching stuff last year, and I've played and coached in the Dome many times. So it's not my first time being there. It is a big stage, but it's not too big for our players or me.
Gotcha, Coach. And then, obviously, you did a little bit of coaching last year. What are some core principles that you try to have these guys kind of, when they check in with you every day, they're doing their weight training, they're coming in, they're clocking in, what are some things you kind of hold them by?
I mean, it's the same stuff that everybody's going to stand by. So you have accountability, you have, toughness, all those things that everybody else is trying to work on. We have our core principles that we stand by. We call it the Brookwood Standard. And we just try to make sure that all of our kids are living up to that standard at everything that they do. Brookwood's one of those places that both in the classroom and on the playing fields, no matter what sport. I mean, obviously, I'm talking about football myself, but all of our sports do a really good job of competing. But we do a really good job competing in the classroom, everything that we do. I mean, it's just a Brookwood Standard means something, and we just try to live up to that.
100%. And then just talk a little bit about, Coach, kind of how the spring's going to shape out for you guys. How does that look? When does spring practice start? Who will you guys play potentially if you do a spring game?
Okay, so we start on April 28th, and we'll do like 2 days on, 1 day off for film, 2 days on, 1 day off, kind of like that. So we span over 14 days, but it's only 10 days of spring ball. We don't play anybody else. We're going to play ourselves. So we'll get a lot more time to really evaluate our own players. We have a really good group of kids coming back, so I'm really interested to see how the guys that didn't play last year are going to step into some of the shoes that, people that left, and it's just opportunities all across the board. We have a very talented team with a lot of returners, but there's plenty of room for guys that weren't playing or didn't get, a whole lot of playing time last year to have substantial roles this year.
And we know how talented the youth leagues are in that Gwinnett area. How have Brookwood's maybe freshman or JV teams been doing the last few years, and how prepared do you think those young guys are?
Very prepared. So last year, our JV team, I think, lost 2 games, and our 9th grade lost, I think, 2 games as well. Both teams, we don't just play teams that are in our region, obviously, at 9th grade and JV, so you kind of play whoever else has both of those. And we've kind of started a new thing in Gwinnett where the teams that have a 9th grade program and a varsity program going forward will all play each other. So I don't have to worry about scheduling. Like if one person has a JV team, but they don't have a 9th grade team, I don't have to go find a separate 9th grade team. So all the teams that are kind of the groups that have a high percentage of support, that they get a lot of participation in their school, that's who we'll all go against going forward. But like last year, we played Graysons and all those other guys, and we compete with everybody on every level. So I mean, realistically, our 8th graders that are rising 9s did a really good job last year. Our 9th grade did a very good job, and everybody's just gotten better. So I mean, as a collective, as a whole, we've gotten a lot better.
And then before last season, when we were talking to Coach Jones about his group, he was saying that they might not have the most skill, or in terms of the skill guys, just the most speed, but they were going to win with the technique, just like those old school football principles that you can't hide from. Do you feel like that's what the message is this spring? It's like, this is going to be tough. We aren't going to try to trick our opponents. We've got to beat them where it counts. We've got to out-physical them.
Well, 100%, and it's about preparation. So we're going to prepare the right way. We're not as talented as some of the teams that we face. We don't have necessarily as many athletes, but we have a ton of kids who have a lot of experience, and we have a ton of kids on our roster that have a lot of offers already. So we have, I think we're sitting at 12 or 13 kids with D1 offers, so they should be able to perform on any level against any team. So I'm not saying that we don't have a set of group of our athletes aren't as good as other athletes. We're just as talented as other people. We might not be 1-for-1 with everybody, but with the coaching and really it's the kids being coachable with their mentality and our program as a whole. Yeah, we stand on grit, and we're going to work and grind, and we're going to try to do it better than everybody else does. We're going to try to be tougher, especially mentally tougher than everybody that we play.
And then you were hands-on with the defense last year, serving as a coordinator. What excites you about that group heading into this season? Who are some of the leaders? Oh, gosh, we have so many. So 5 of our DBs are some of those kids that have D1 offers, and our back end should be really, really special. They're talented, and they should be able to do a lot of things. Our young guys, so what people don't realize is 2 years ago we had a losing season at Brookwood, and that doesn't happen very often. I think it's only 4 times in Brookwood's history that they've had a losing season. But 2 years ago we took those lumps, but we played. I started as 6 freshmen
all on the defensive line. So those kids they're now going to be juniors, and they've just grown and grown and gotten better and better. So our defensive front is going to be a strength for us, where in the years past it was kind of, we struggled a little bit. My first 2 years there, we were really good up front. The front seven was great. And now we have kind of a nucleus of everything. We lost one of our, two of our inside linebackers who were really smart guys. They were leaders on our defense, so we're really just looking to find out who that true leader is going to be all around. We have 2 safeties that are really, really good and really, really talented, and they can kind of be our leaders as we go at day one, from day one.
And then I want to ask you about the offense, Coach. We already know how great Braden Tyson is, top back in the country, but let's talk about quarterback and some of your playmakers this year. How does that kind of look for you? Will you be kind of having a competition at quarterback? How does that look this year?
Well, we will have a competition. We'll have a competition at every spot with regards to Braden. Braden is a great back, and he makes a lot of things look really, really good and really, really special. Makes your offensive line look better. Everything's going to look a little bit better when you have a back like him. But we have Gary Chapman, who's a sophomore this year. He fought for the starting position, quarterback position, even last year with CJ. And ultimately, we felt like that CJ gave us the best chance of winning last year, but Gary was neck and neck with him as only a sophomore. So I look forward to 2 great years with Gary being the leading guy, but then we'll find the next guy and just keep doing the same thing. We have guys that are battling for it. But I mean, every single day, Gary puts in the work, and he's earned the spot right now. So as far as going into spring, he'll be our starting quarterback right now.
And then in terms of the trenches, how does that look? Will you have a lot of returning starters this year, Coach, or are you going to kind of be platoon swapping a little bit?
No, we still, so out of our starting 5, we have 3 back. We lost our center and our guard. Our center actually is coming back, the guy who was our starting center. Right before the season, we went to a camp, a padded camp, and he tore his ACL. So he missed all of last year. He's back. So realistically, we have 4 of our 5 starters back. So we're not looking to fill a whole lot of holes. We really just have 1. But we have a bunch of really good, talented guys that played, JV time, and even guys that were backups last year. So we're going to be okay.
And then 2-part question for you, Coach. I want to ask just a little bit about your coaching staff. They do a great job. I know about Coach Raw and everything, how he puts the athletes out there. Just talk about being able to have such a great staff to make your job easier. And then the second part is just what can we expect from this Brookwood team this upcoming year?
Okay. The first one, so I can do nothing without a great staff, but I can do everything if I have a great staff. Case in point, this morning we had our first morning Maroon Dawn, which is a morning workout. All the kids are there at 6 o'clock. We start at 6 o'clock, so the kids are there about 5:40, somewhere around there. And I ended up being a little bit late to me, but it was 3 minutes before I'm supposed to be there and before I'm blowing the whistle. But my guys, to their credit, took up all the slack, and they're great. So I have a great assistant coaches under me. Literally, they made the whole thing work and go together. So I couldn't say enough about the assistant coaches that I have, and I've hired a couple really good ones to come on and join us. Our offensive line coach is going to be new. Thomas Willie's coming from Richmond Hill. And he does a really good job. And Mitch Matthews is coming to us from Lincoln County, and he'll coach linebackers. So we have just a few. Brookwood's one of those places where we don't lose many coaches, so we don't lose many teachers or anybody. But once you kind of come to our program, most people want to stay and be there for a long time. So we didn't have a whole lot of movement, so our staff remained pretty tight and still together. As far as going forward, as far as our program, looking forward to next year, I think the sky's the limit. I think that we can definitely play for it. I think the mentality of all of our kids, we're grinding, we're putting in the work, we're doing the right things in the off season to get us prepared to do the right things in the in season. So really, it's just getting through this springtime and then obviously all through summer. But like we had 140 kids there this morning at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
There's not many programs that are going to have 160 kids show up at 6 o'clock to start doing workouts.
No.
We do. So, we have not just the kids, not just the coaches, but also the community that support, because that's all the parents. The parents are the ones dropping them off and getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to bring their kids to show up and be there on time.
Yes, sir. Well, guys, that's going to do it for the interview. And thank Coach Nighbert so much for coming on the show and telling us a little bit about Brookwood. We can't wait to see them in the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic this upcoming year. We'll be back with more after the break.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. Remember that you can catch the show on the CBS Sports Local streaming app Zeem, also on the Atlanta News First app, and on the Peachtree Sports Network via YouTube TV. Now, shortly, we should be joined by Ben Raney, Lakeside Hall of Fame member. I just got the thumbs up, so I think we are good to go. There he is.
Go on, guys.
Hey, Mr. Raney, how's everything going?
Couldn't be better. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you coming on. I want to give you congratulations as well as being inducted into this class of the Lakeside Hall of Fame this year.
Well, it's a great honor. There's been a lot of great athletes come through that place, and I'm very honored. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So, Mr. Raney, I just want to kind of start with, obviously, you played on the junior and senior team for football in your career there, but I know Coach Creel was probably not the easiest coach in the world, but you talked about the mental toughness aspect and how that kind of impacted your life. What were some key lessons you learned from him, just, being a man and just going through life?
Well, you can't quit. You can't quit in business. You can't quit in sports. You can't quit in life. And he was, Coach Creel was a winner, and he expected a lot out of his people. And I think what I learned from Coach Creel was just perseverance and the fact that you gotta get up when you fall, and he was the best at it that I knew.
Yes, sir. And then obviously I know you played on the football team, and then you played golf. So where did your kind of love for golf kind of start from? And growing up, who were some of your favorite players that maybe watch?
I was an Arnold Palmer guy as a child, and it was interesting later in my career. As I turned pro, I actually played in the winter times out of Bay Hill, and I was around Arnold and a lot. And I felt like a kid at a candy shop. But I was always an Arnold Palmer guy. My father was an Arnold Palmer guy, and I watched golf all my life, starting from a young child, and started playing when I was about 6 or 7 with my father. And thankfully, we were members at Druid Hills Golf Club. And so I had the facility to grow, and the pro there, Randall Couch, became a great influence in my life, who just passed away last summer, and I was pleased to speak at his funeral. But he was a special guy, and I was set up to succeed in golf with what I had, so I'm very thankful for that.
And then I want to ask you about that, just going back to the mental toughness part. You go to Georgia Tech for your undergrad. You are a walk-on for obviously, golf there. You eventually land a scholarship your junior and senior years. And you were voted the captain as a senior as well. So can you just talk a little bit about that, just your perseverance there? Because like you said, you could have quit, but you decided to keep going and finally, was rewarded towards the end of your career.
Well, there was some growth in a lot of ways at Tech. It was a time where coming out of high school, I was not a very big guy. I was small, I was thin, and I worked on my body, and that helped a lot. And I was under the tutelage of Randall Couch, who was the best short game player I'd ever seen in my life. And Randall taught me a lot. He took me under his wing and didn't teach me how to swing. He taught me how to play. He taught me 5 basic fundamentals in golf. You work on your grip, your posture, your alignment, ball position, and balance. And if you're somewhere hidden in those 5 different challenges is the key to a good golf swing. So he made it so that if I watched the ball flight, I could figure out which one of those 5 issues was causing my problems, and I could make adjustments mid-round. So you start out playing poorly, you could find out by looking at your shots and your shot patterns and divot patterns, you could figure out pretty much what was causing your problem. So that was a great story in my career, is being able to make slight changes midstream and rounds, and Randall was really good at that. So, like I say, I was set up to succeed. I'm very thankful.
And then my final question before I throw it to Craig. Obviously, you won 7 club championships at Druid Hills for the golf championships. I do want to ask you, and I need you to be honest with me, though, what is the key to making kind of that amateur status? I mean, I know it's not easy. You kind of made it look easy. Obviously, you talked about the 5 key things that you got to have when you're playing golf, but how does one go and become an amateur and eventually get into the professional scene if they want to?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question, Howard?
Yes, sir. So I was saying, obviously, you won 7 golf club championships at Druid Hills. Obviously, you made amateur status in 1986. I just wanted to ask, How does one go and be really good and be able to be, get to the professional level of golf?
It takes a lot of practice and a lot of hard work. And literally, my game was improving all the way through tech, and then improved a lot more after that when I turned pro. And then after I regained my amateur status in 1986, it got even better. And it's just a lot of maturity and a lot of physical growth and a lot of training and a lot of practice and a lot of belief. And you got to fall down a few times before you make it. I think I finished runner-up 8 times at Druid Hills. So you have to lose a few before you win them. But I've played it enough now where I've had my share of success, and I'm thankful.
And then I want to ask you about just the golf community in general, just the networking you get when you're playing as an amateur, playing as a professional, all the different people you meet. From the outside, it looks very competitive, obviously, but I mean, what is the golf community like? Just some of the relationships you've been able to build over the years.
Well, I've run a commercial real estate company, and I'll say that most people that have paid attention to my career are pretty convinced that golf has been the cornerstone of my success. And there's no doubt that the doors that it opens they're fantastic, and there's nothing like it. The friends you meet, the people you know, the people with shared interests, it takes you it puts you on a different level. And but you have to know your business. You have to be really, if I show up and I'm just a golf guy, that doesn't help you, but you have to really work, and you gotta instill confidence in people that you know your job and you know your trade. And that's when golf can help you. If you're just a golf guy showing up trying to get business, it doesn't work.
And then what was kind of interesting about playing on a team, both at Lakeside and then Georgia Tech, just like the team aspect of it? Did you guys practice together a bunch, or how was that different than going off on your own?
We did practice a lot. In high school, we didn't practice as much because a lot of the players didn't have access to a country club, a private club. But at Tech, we did. We had a coach, we had a program, and he expected us to work hard in school and work hard at golf and succeed. And so it was, being at Georgia Tech was a great honor to play for that school. That program is they've won 19 ACC championships in the past 34 years. It's hard to imagine how good a program could be, and really what Coach Hepler has done with that program. So I'm pleased to be associated with it, just in a little way.
100%. Well, that's going to do it for us for today. Mr. Raney, we appreciate you coming on. I want to say congratulations again on being inducted to the Lakeside Hall of Fame.
All the best, guys. I appreciate the call.
Yes, sir. Anytime.
Okay.
All right, guys. There goes Mr. Raney. Coming up after the break, we'll get into some lacrosse rankings, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in just a few moments.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting 6 figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. It is now time to get into some of the lacrosse rankings. So obviously I do these rankings, Craig. I mean, the girls lacrosse has been fun so far. Been definitely some teams that have surprised. Definitely some teams that, you know, the powerhouses like Milton have been doing their thing so far. So it's been a lot of fun to see.
Certainly. I was looking at it with Division I. I think this year it's interesting. Some of the teams that have entered each other's past, but it looks like Fellowship's probably like the only undefeated team remaining in that entire classification, especially the rankings. They're nationally ranked at this point. It's not like they're blowing everyone out. They keep winning, but what do you think about the fact that everyone else has maybe taken their lumps or had a loss except them? They're that team that's still perfect so far.
I think they've been standing out. I think they've been picking up some pretty quality wins. Last year, a team that's really good was Centennial. They beat them here recently, 16-8. They've crossed double figures in every single matchup so far. So nobody has been able to kind of slow down their offense. Defense has been playing pretty good as well. But when you have a team that has a whole bunch of attackers that can get into that box and put pressure on the defense, I think it makes them dangerous this year.
Yep, and then talk about the rest of the D1 rankings, just who's maybe moved up or down in the last few weeks and who looks solid.
Yep, so obviously we talked about Fellowship Christian. Another team that's been really impressive was Cambridge. They were 3-1 this past week, Craig. They defeated Kingsridge, Blessed Trinity, and then Lake Mary, Florida, and also Lake Highland Prep. So 2 out-of-state wins for them. Wesleyan was out this week. They did not play. And obviously Mount Perrin and Holy Innocents have been looking really good so far. And then obviously you have Pace Academy. They've been picking up some really good wins early in the season. BT is a team I've been kind of on men's with because they've been just up and down so far this year, Craig. They're 5-5, but they played a really tough schedule. But it's like, this is a team last year that got to the state championship. They still uber talented, Craig. So still holding out hope on them, but they kind of faltering down. But I think they can turn it around before the end of the season.
Yeah, what's interesting, we see some teams are really defensive-minded, some are more aggressive. But when you get into the playoffs and you have those tight games where it's 8-8 going into the final minutes, you have to have your go-to offensive players that can create that shot and get that goal. I think maybe that's what BT is still trying to find at this point, being 5-5, taking their lumps. But they're going to be talented on defense offensively, but who is going to step up and be that player that wants the ball in their stick when it matters?
100%. All right, let's go to Division II. At the top, obviously, is Milton. They went 3-0 this past week. They handed Johns Creek, who's a top 5 team, or top 3 team. I moved them up despite losing to Milton. You know, they beat them and handed them the first loss of the season. And we got a big game this week, obviously tomorrow. Johns Creek is going to play Chattahoochee. Both teams only have 1 loss so far this season, Craig. They've looked phenomenal. Lassiter has been kind of a surprise team this year, but very talented. A lot of girls are playing D1 lacrosse at the next level. The Lady Eagles also defeated Maryville Prep out of Maryland and Cardinal Gibbons out of North Carolina. So they're going to face Cambridge, who we just talked about, the number 2 team in Division I. So that's another marquee matchup between them. Last year defeated Mill Creek and Creekview, and this one before they fell to number 1 West Forsyth this past week. So they've been also phenomenal. And Johns Creek, they are off to, like I said, a 9-1 start. Lakeside, Evans, Decatur have been some surprise teams this year, Craig, but they've been doing their thing. And River Ridge picked up some nice wins this past week as well for Division II.
Yeah, I feel like Lassiter is a team that's probably made the most runs out of all those teams in the top 10 outside of Milton, obviously. They've been in state titles before. They've competed at a high level. Do you think that they have what it takes to maybe pull an upset on Milton, or does Milton just look like this is going to benefit them even more being in this Division II?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think this one definitely has a lot of competition. When we look at Johns Creek last year, they had a really good start, Craig. Remember, they went 6-0 before kind of faltering off. You know, obviously in their difficult region. Chattahoochee looks like a team that could be special this year, off to a 10-1 start. But, I mean, Craig, until you can beat the champ, it's hard to really kind of bet against them. So I still will go with Milton for now until I see something else, but there's definitely a lot of competition in this Division II.
Yep, and last night that was Milton and Lassiter. Milton got that win 18-8.
There you have it. And like I said, Lassiter's a top team, top 2, so that just goes to show you there are levels to it. All right, finally, Division III, at the top, West Forsyth. We talked about their big win this past week over Lassiter. Big win for them. They went 2-0. They defeated also Creekview. So some big wins for them. Walton picked up wins over North Gwinnett and Harrison this past week. North Gwinnett is also very highly rated. Number 3 here in the poll. They've looked good so far. Cherokee defeated Denmark 18-5 this past week. And North Gwinnett, get this correct, they suffered just their first loss of the season when they lost to Walton this past week. They're off to a 6-1 start. They've been phenomenal. And then number 5, Lambert defeated Riverside, South Carolina 20-1 this past week. Campbell, Alpharetta, Brookwood, and Marietta have been phenomenal so far this year. Carrollton fell out of the poll after a 3-game losing streak, and Marietta, Craig, made their debut for the first time all season long, so they've been phenomenal. And West Forsyth is going to play against Lake Mary, Florida, is also this upcoming week in a top out-of-state matchup for them.
Yeah, that'll be a big one. And yeah, West Forsyth, they've been on a roll. They played Milton very closely, 11-8 loss. They got a nice win over Cambridge, the win over Creekview and Lassiter. So it looks like they've pretty much won the region at this point. Outside of this matchup, you see Lambert at number 5. I believe that's their final region game. They're 4-0 at this point. So they can pretty much wrap that up on April 11th, 4 games from now after this out-of-state stretch.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the question here is, if you're West Forsyth, Craig, you feel pretty good because you're not having to compete with Milton. Now, I think they scheduled a game this year with them, but remember last year they had to end up playing them, I think, late, obviously in the playoffs. But this year you got a little bit of leeway. Right now, Walton is really good this year. North Gwinnett is really good, and Lambert. Those are the teams you got to watch. But this feels like this could be the year that West Forsyth finally captures that coveted first ever state championship.
Yeah, we have not seen the highest classification be wide open, and there's no secret about it. Milton has absolutely dominated. They've won every single state title except 2 since the sport was created. So this is a golden opportunity for Walton, but I feel like with West Forsyth going toe-to-toe with Milton, 11-8, having these big wins over Cambridge, who might be a top 5 team in the entire state regardless of class, playing very well. Can they finish the season strong, get that win over Lambert, secure that home field? And I think that they certainly have that chance this year. Walton, though, they've been one of the few teams that maybe would have had 5 or 6 state titles if not for Milton. I was there one of the times they beat them, but it's just been very tough with how talented that machine of Milton is. But I think it's going to be obviously the biggest storyline, just this wide open Division III.
100%. And then to your point, Craig, right, this would be like this for the next 2 years. So who is going to take advantage while Milton is not in that same division or classification with them? Who can take advantage and capture rings?
Certainly. And then we'll see if a team like Marietta Campbell can make some history. Brookwood has been on the up. I know they're in your rankings the last few years also. Harrison's always been solid also.
Yes.
And then North Gwinnett, I feel like they've been outstanding in a lot of these spring sports, but in terms of lacrosse, they've been steadily on the uprise.
100%. And obviously, before we wrap up this segment, I want to talk about Division I just a little bit more, Craig, and get kind of your opinion a little bit. But outside of Fellowship Christian, we know they're the most undefeated team. If you had to say, who do you think could potentially, give them a challenge? I know Westminster and Wesleyan, they made history last year, Craig, with both the boys and the girls going up against each other in the state championship. This year, probably a little bit different. I feel like there's way more competition this year. It could be tougher to kind of see that. And you still can't sleep on BT at number 8.
Yeah, well, I think the obvious answer would probably be Cambridge. We've seen just how close Cambridge just played West Forsyth, a 2-goal game. They are right up there. Wesleyan's been solid. Stars Mills made runs to the finals before in the lower classifications. Westminster, a great defensive team. Normally I would say BT, but they haven't found it yet this season at 5-5. If they hit their stride late, maybe BT would be in that conversation, but right now I think it's Cambridge and then Wesleyan.
For sure. I'm going to go ahead with a sleeper at number 4, which is Mount Perrin. Now, a lot of people will talk about them. They don't have necessarily the powerhouse history or of just winning a whole bunch of state championships. They obviously have never won one in their history, but a team that's playing some really good lacrosse right now. Their offense has been spectacular, and defensively they're defending at a high level. So Mount Perrin might be that sleeper that surprised a lot of people come playoff time.
Certainly. Well, it's a good breakdown. The full rankings at scoreatl.com.
Yes, sir. 100%. Well, guys, it's going to conclude this segment. Coming up, we will talk to Will Fields, our Score Atlanta intern, to get his latest insights on the Georgia high school players that are in the NCAA tournament. You don't want to miss it, so come back with us right here on the Peachtree Sports Network. All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. So we're now joined by Will Fields, our Score Atlanta intern. So we're going to talk a little bit about March Madness and NCAA tournament that starts officially tomorrow. Some great Georgia players going to be playing in that.
Absolutely, about 27 of them actually.
Yeah, man.
So I was looking into it. I mean, first things first, it's the first time since I think 2015 where UGA has even appeared in the national championship tournament. But that being said, they also have 3 different players that are from Georgia high school. So they had let's see, my apologies. They had R.J. Godfrey. They had Dylan LeFew. Right? Yeah, Dakota LeFew. Excuse me. And then Santos Cyril. My apologies. But yeah, so when it comes to those players, I was able to talk to a couple of the coaches, and Coach Mailman actually had some comments about LeFew that I wanted to share. So he actually thinks that LeFew is an NBA or at least a pro-level talent that's kind of not being utilized as well as he could be. I mean, he looked at his stats from St. Mary's. He used to put up 20 and 30 all the time, and so he thinks that when it comes down to utilization, that's something that he's kind of getting underused. And I have to agree a little bit. When I look at how he plays, I see bursts of talent. I can see bursts of pro-level talent. And I think that one of these days, especially in this tournament, especially in this upcoming game, when they really got to prove themselves and see if they can get that first win since 1996, we might see something special come out of him.
And do you think it's just because, obviously, Asa Newell, who was a hot shot freshman, has kind of come in. He's handling a lot of the ball. He leads them in scoring, I think, 15 points per game. They got a lot of guys that are senior-led at the guard position as well. So you think that kind of contribute parts to the fact that he's not probably being utilized in the right way?
I think so. When you have a hot shot guy that comes in like that, of course you want to put the ball in his hands. But that being said, they are a team that has talent all across the board, and I think they can utilize that better by spreading the ball a little bit more, especially against this Gonzaga team.
And then real quick, I'm going to bring you in here, Craig. Just your thoughts on Godfrey and what he's been able to do so far.
Now, with Godfrey, his coach has nothing but positive things to say about him. I mean, his favorite player to have ever coached. And one thing that's really cool about Godfrey is actually he doesn't even feel like he's the best athlete in his family. Both him and his brother, who's playing linebacker at Kentucky, will both say that their little sister, that's an 11th grader right now, is actually the best athlete in the family. But that being said, he has the size, he has the length. When it comes down to his gameplay, he knows exactly what he's doing on the court. He always knows how to make the right decisions. And I think that as far as talent goes, he's up there with the best.
Well, Peyton Marshall's another guy. I remember he was at Corky Kell, and I think IJ saw him and was like, what NBA player is there? And we're like, he's a junior.
Yep.
He's a junior in high school.
I remember that.
So he's in there with Missouri. And then you were talking about Wofford and Luke Flynn. I mean, he's made a pretty quick impact from Walton. Walton was represented in McEachern, and you see all these great programs. So what do you think about Wofford and some of the Georgia talent they've been able to put together?
Yeah, they got 3 guys. They got Kanan Richards, who's at Kell. He's there. Obviously, Luke Flynn. And they got another player that's been playing at a high level. So it's not always easy to transition, to the next level and still be a high contributor. I think just his ability to play at Walton, their schedule, that region they came from, with obviously Willard being in there, North Cobb, I think it's prepared him for that next level, and I think he's going to only get better. I mean, I think he's just scratching the surface of his potential.
I mean, when I was looking at his early stats, I was looking through his time at Walton, and it seems like he had some of the most congruent growth I've ever seen. I mean, his freshman year, he's averaging 12 points, he was second team all-region. And then his sophomore year, he goes up to 17 points and 5 rebounds, and then he's all-region. Then he's first team all-region and second team all-state recognition. And then, of course, the next year after that, he's up to 19 points a game, 5 rebounds, all-region, all-state honors. And then as a senior, he's first team all-state honors and region player of the year. So, it seems like he just gets better in stair steps. And as he keeps going on further in his career, I don't see why that's going to change.
Yep, I think Anthony Arrington was that third player. What do you think about the Georgia-Gonzaga matchup, guys?
Honestly, I think it's going to be a dogfight, like I said. I mean, granted, they're both the Bulldogs, but the reality is it's an 8 and 9 seed, and I don't think either one is that much better than the other on any given day. I think it really just comes down to the players playing at their best at the right time and at the right moments.
Yeah, it's a toss-up. I think when you break down the matchup, Georgia has really good big men that can obviously switch defensively. They're going to have to rebound at a high-end level and push the tempo and pace with Asa Newell. Obviously, your guy left you getting out of transition, getting easy buckets. I think if they can get on them early, like 13-4, 15-4, they got a good shot.
And then who else is maybe an impact player to watch for?
I will be remiss, those at home, if I did not bring up this name. That is Christian Anderson, all Big 12 freshman. He has been balling. 10 points he's averaging so far this year. He, Craig, is the building block for the future for Texas Tech. They are a number 3 seed in this tournament. He's shooting 41% from three-point range as a freshman. Very impressive. Obviously, he went to Lovett School. I mean, he's been impressive. And my last one, I got to mention Florida guard Will Richard. Look, man, they're already talented. We know about Walter Clayton Jr., right? We know about their big man. We know about Alex Condon. But what makes them so special, you have a guard like him that can defend multiple positions. He can guard 1 through 3, 1 through 4, and he's a pest on defense.
Absolutely.
And with him averaging 13 points a game, they're dangerous because he can go off. If Clayton Jr. is struggling to get it to another guard, he can go off. They can just platoon swap so many guys, and Richard is that X factor for them.
And every now and again, he might just go off from three-pointer just because. I mean, he's not what I'd say like a knockdown every time. He's more streaky, but when he does go for it, I mean, back in February 23, he went 5 for 8 out of nowhere. Like no one saw that game coming. But the reality of the situation is he does have it in him. He's shooting 37.8% from the three, so he's not a bad shooter by any means. But when he gets going, he's got to get rhythm. I think he's special.
I think you said it best. He's a rhythm shooter. So once he got it going, if he's 3 for 3 from 3, hey, you better look out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, and that story's at scoreatl.com. We got all 27 names listed up there. Great job, Will.
Yeah, appreciate you.
That's going to do it for this segment. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Another great segment from Will Fields. We'll be back with more tomorrow. Same place, same time from 12 to 1 p.m. on the Peachtree Sports Network.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off. Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
We celebrate the athletes, the buzzer beaters, the record breakers, the wins. Now, it's time to celebrate the people behind it all. The advice givers, the community shapers, the game changers, the life changers. It's time to celebrate our coaches. Join all of us at BSN Sports and show your coach some love by sharing their story with #ThankYouCoach.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting gogcso.com for more information. Gwinnett County, together we can make a difference.